Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Functional Medicine with me, Dr. Howard Robbins. Got a very special show lined up for us today. Um, I have Luciano Blotta, and he is an amazing director and filmmaker. And we're going to be talking about something very important that's going to be um, that a project that he's working on that will hopefully affect the lives of millions of people literally around the world. I'm also waiting for my buddy and blood brother, Dr. Robert Rowen from California, to come on the show. Hopefully, he remembered, and he will. But this you're going to be very excited to hear what we have to say. First, let me thank my sponsors that make it possible for us to be here. First, I want to thank PromoLife, PROMOLIFE.com, PromoLife.com. PromoLife makes medical ozone generators, home care ozone generators. We just did a show on all the different home care things you can do. Go back and listen to the show that I just did with Tobias Seagal, the owner of the company, this or CEO, certainly of the company. Um, they make some amazing products that you could be using every day to improve your health and help overcome medical problems, which is what we're going to be talking about today on the movie that Luciano is going to create. In addition, if you call them at 888-742-3404, that's 888-742-3404, and say, I heard about you here on Dr. Robbins' show, they'll do something special for you. You'll get 1% off the cost of whatever you buy, or they'll, depending on what you're getting, they may throw something free in. Definitely worthwhile. And so always call them up and make sure you said you heard about it here. 888-742-3404. And you can visit their website, promolife.com, and see all the different products they have. They're always coming out with something new and revolutionary that can impact your health in some very powerful way. And then I have to thank Doctor's Biome. Doctor's Biome is a very special probiotic beverage. Um, it has 15 patented strains, for those of you that are listening the first time, that are called next generation bacteria. Next generation bacteria created to survive the stomach over 90%. What you don't likely know is that capsule powder and tablet probiotics are destroyed over 90% in the stomach. And yeah, you may eat some foods that like yogurt or kimchi or whatnot, sauerkraut that has a few strains in it. You may want to drink something that has alcohol and sugar in it and tastes terrible, like kombucha. But basically, they have very few strains in it. They aid digestion to some degree, but they don't do the next most important thing. They're not smart probiotics. They don't stick to the wall of your gut. And that's where you need them to go to get yeast in balance again and to kill off bad bacteria so you can absorb all the nutrients from the healthy foods that you're eating and from the supplements that you may be taking. The gut, as you've heard on previous shows, impacts every organ in your body. And it's so important that you put probiotics back into it. And you can't beat Doctor's Brown because it tastes delicious. All these 15 patented strains are living in a 100% organic mint, kale, lettuce, cucumber, celery, apple, lemon juice. And in the woman's health product, they're all living in a 100% organic watermelon, apple, beet, pomegranate, strawberry juice, with added organic cranberry. So it helps in fighting urinary tract infections and yeast infections. Men can take it too if you have those kind of problems as well. So it's just they named it Women's Health. Don't ask me why. That was their choice. Bottom of it all, if you go to doctorsbiome.com, doctorsbiome.com, sounds like bio-me, but it's pronounced biome, doctorsbiome.com, and you put the code radio20 in, you'll get 20% off your first order. And after that, you can go on auto ship and always get 10% off each order. You could always cancel any time, and they have a 100% unconditional money back guarantee. In fact, if you don't like it, you'll not only get your money back, they'll tell you to keep what's left and give it to somebody else who might benefit from it. You can't beat the deal. And you'll see the impact, the positive impact on your health is just amazing. Listen to the shows that we've done on it. And remember, one of the best things about Voice America is that we have episode directory on the website, on my webpage here. So you can listen anytime you want, anywhere in the world. So you can tell your friends who live in other countries to listen. Also on YouTube, if you can get YouTube, you got the app. You can watch and listen on YouTube. Same title, Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins. We put the shows up right after we're done, so you can actually see us, not just hear us. Now, without further ado, let me introduce Luciano. Luciano is a very special person. He's an Emmy-nominated filmmaker. He's shot film for, oh my God, HBO, Netflix, CNN, BBC, Animal Planet, Bravo, UK, Channel 4. I mean, he's his resume is impressive. He's had numerous documentaries. That's his business. And he's doing, and that's what we're going to be talking about, possibly one of the most important documentaries of his life. And he's done some very important ones. If you look at the resume, when you go to our e-card that you may be able to get on this show, when you look to boot it up, you'll see the resume is just tremendous. So, but this may be the most important show he's ever done. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And hello, Luciano.
Hello, Howard, and thanks for having me, and thanks for that beautiful intro. I'm blushing.
I hate to tell you, but you actually look better than your picture that we put up.
Well,
you look much younger. Your picture makes you look much older.
Well, I tell you why, and this is a good point, because the picture that you have there is from a movie set when I was making a movie. And the fact that that's 10 years ago, and you're telling me I look younger now, that's because when you're making a movie, it's brutal on your physical well-being and emotional well-being. So it ages you quite a lot. So that's why that picture looks the way it does. But it's an action picture. I'm there with a camera, and I wanted to show you that. But it's it's a testament to the commitment that's needed to make a film. And it'll be the same with this movie. We still haven't talked about what it is.
Well, let's start talking about what it is. So let's start with, and I'll let the cat out of the bag. You're going to be doing a documentary on ozone therapy. Why?
No, why? That's right. Why? Well, the short answer is because the world needs to know about ozone. That's my humble opinion, and I think everybody in the space shares that. So I think I see myself as a connector between two worlds. The world of the people out there that have not heard about this, or they may need it, or somebody they love needs this therapy. And you guys, the experts in this, that, I mean, I can share in your frustration when people may roll their eyes when somebody mentions ozone, which is like a common theme I have been seeing in my journey into the ozone world, where everybody right away discredits it because they don't know what it is, or it sounds funky or whatnot. So I want to be a connector between those people out there with this knowledge and the people that need to hear it and know about it. So that's why we want to make this film. And partly also, and this is my personal interest, is that I'm, or I have been a health enthusiast my entire life. I've been, there's a term for it these days. It's a new term. And actually, I want to talk to you about this and the audience. The term biohacking or biohacker. It's a trendy term, but really all it means is somebody who is into controlling, measuring, and optimizing their health via combining ancestral wisdom, which now science is proving that, you know, our grandmothers or great grandmothers were right about some of the things that seem like folklore, but they worked. So it's combining that and bringing it back and using technology to track it and use everything that's available these days for technology-wise. Now, ozone, believe it or not, is one of the things that biohackers use the most. Biohackers are people who sometimes, you know, they try to avoid going to the doctor, try to avoid ending up in a hospital. And that's, you know, a lot of medical professionals don't like the idea, but we can later on really unpack that. And because I think there's a lot to say there. But anyway,
You may
that's
want to, I'll say this. Let me jump in to say this. Years ago, the term hacking wasn't involved, so nobody knew what it was. Because back when I began 50 years ago, there was no such things as computers that people would own. But people used to come into me and go, I have to let you know I'm a health nut.
yeah.
And that's what a biohacker is. But I used to come back at them with, there is nothing nutty about wanting to be healthy. And if you're not a health nut, what does that make you? A sick nut? Is that what you want to be? Sick? The key is to grow old and be well. It's not about growing old. And we're doing a meeting next week on Frontiers 8 in Ozone. You know, it's one of our World Congresses on Ozone meetings that we have once a year, and it's going to be in Charleston, South Carolina, for doctors, not for people predominantly, so to speak. But in any case, it's all on anti-aging, retarding aging, and reversing aging. And that's some of what ozone is capable of doing. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So there's nothing nutty about wanting to be healthy, and there's not there. It's a wonderful thing if I guess, if then you want to call yourself a biohacker.
Well, you know, I guess the way I see the term, yeah, like you say, hacking is it comes from the tech world, and actually biohacking started in the tech world with these guys working the longest hours and guys and girls, you know, trying to optimize their mental clarity and everything to sustain those long hours. So that's sort of how it started, and then you start making alterations to your biology via methods like ozone or supplements of all kinds. I mean, every biohacker takes about 100 supplements every day. It's kind of crazy. So but hacking means you're sort of breaking into something that's impenetrable in a way. So I think our health used to be interpreted that way, at least for lay people. Oh, I have to go to the doctor, with all, you know, with all respect to the profession and everything. But I guess these days, with so much information, I think the medical industry needs to get with it, because they're going to be left behind, because people are not seeing results somewhere else, and they're just trying to find what they can. And there's a lot of options out there that are not being advertised or promoted or even talked about. And ozone is one of them. And that's why we want to make a film about it, because what I have seen with my own eyes and witness with patients and people and stories, this is, like you guys call it, a miracle medicine, and it is medicine, and it's a very simple thing. And that's one of the frustrations I share, is that how can something that's so simple I mean, we're talking about really 3 atoms of oxygen, correct? That's something that life makes, our body makes it. It's absolutely benign if used the right way, and it's not being talked about. And I see you guys, meaning professionals, medical experts, sort of scratching their heads and still trying to figure out how come ozone does so many things at once that seem to be unrelated, right? Uh, that, from infection to, solving your knee problem. I mean, what is these are 2 different specialties, right? Like, but ozone goes in and does that. So it's a worthy subject for somebody like me to explore. And everything inside this story is it's pretty exciting. It may not seem that way at first glance. We're not making a story or a movie about a therapy, really. We're making a movie about, in a way, it's about the history of medicine and pharmaceutical medicine and how we got to where we are today. And within that backdrop, ozone is the main star.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to our first commercial break right now.
Okay.
And when we come back, we have a lot to talk about on this film. There's fundraising that's necessary to make this happen, and most importantly, on why this is such an important. This film may have a major impact, literally, on the health of millions and millions of people. Everybody, please stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you.
All right, nicely done. We're all
back to Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins.
Hello, everybody. We're here with Luciano, and we're talking about the importance of this new documentary that he's going to be doing. And we were talking about, you were mentioning something that we'll get into, I think, a little bit. One of the problems ozone therapy suffers from is its versatility. It really, the rule has always been, if it sounds too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true. That's what ozone suffers from, because it is the exception that makes that a rule. And its versatility is what works against it. And in all fairness, nothing is 100%. Occasionally we do have failures for various reasons, most often because they didn't do enough of it long enough and consistently enough. But because it's just medicine. Medicine is taken often every day, usually several times a day, when you take any kind of medicine for any medical problem. Ozone doesn't require that most of the time, but it does require consistent care done consistently. But its versatility is the real issue, and that's something you're going to have to overcome in your documentary.
Well, actually, I was just literally writing this down because it's a great concept to explore and to explain. And maybe it will be you who does it, because you will be in this movie, Howard, and you're the first one to know that you will be in the movie, because I've been keeping it not a secret, but I don't want to start, an ego war between people. Who's not going to be in the movie?
Don't feel bad, but the ozone world, as I've learned, is very political, and it's better to keep the fact that I'm going to be in it very quiet, because I am very controversial in the ozone world. I have a big part of the world that is supportive of who I am and the methods that I use, because I began doing this and I didn't really give a damn about anything except helping people. I didn't know there was controversy over one method over another. So I just learned the methods that I learned, all the different methods, and I chose what I felt would be the most effective, most powerful, and very important, safe ways of treating people. And I take Dr. Do No Harm very seriously. Ozone can be used in a way that can harm people, just like any other medicine can. In fact, one of the main methods used mostly in Western Europe and even here in the US has been known to hurt people to some degree. Some people have been harmed by it, but it wasn't purposeful. It was reaction. Whereas the main methods that I use have been proven, as I say, safe and effective. 419,000 treatments later, more than any one clinic in the world. So bottom of it all is I do what's best for my patients. I'm not moved by politics in ozone, but many of the doctors are, and they don't know any better. Many of the doctors, are whoever gave them their initial training, only know what those doctors told them. And unless they heard another side to a story, they're not going to get it. So that's going to be up to you to figure out how to navigate the medical political ozone world just as much. But we have to help you raise some money for this too. So we're going to talk about that probably when we come back from our next break. But let's talk about more. What have you seen? And I know you sent me somebody, so you've seen some benefits already. What have you seen in your observations of talking with different doctors, going to some of the meetings and hearing about the therapy?
Well, again, the miracle molecule, and that might be just the title of the film. It's O3. It's the O3, the miracle molecule. And yeah, look, starting, you know how I discovered this actually is by listening to a podcast just like this one. You weren't on it, but Dr. Rowen was on it and talking about the story of going to Sierra Leone to train people there, right, to combat Ebola and the Ebola outbreak. This blew my mind. And to this day, I mean, it's one of the things I look forward the most while we make the film, is to unpack the story in all its glorious details so that people can understand. Because it is that detail, that moment when I heard this podcast, that I decided this is a movie, this is an act, this is a film, and I have to make this film.
Well, do you know what happened? Yeah, I'll let the audience hear this, because he actually was my first. We did it as our first show that I did back when I began this on Voice America. He called me up in July of 2014, and he says, they're having an Ebola outbreak in West Africa. We should go there with ozone. It's got to work. And I said to him, are you out of your, and I can't use the word because it's, though I can legal, I don't think it's appropriate on radio or television. Are you out of your what mind? And I said, and I hung up on him. Oh no! Then he said to me, "Well, then I'm going to go there and use your method."
And right,
without you. So I hung up on him, and I thought about it for as fast as it would take me to re-hit the button on my cell phone and said, if you think you're going to go there, use my method, and get all the fame and glory without me, you're out of your effing mind. Yeah. And that's how it all began. And we were successful, and we got published in the African Journal of Infectious Disease in August of 2016, showing how we saved the lives of 5 doctors. And then we found out some years later all the politics that went on once again, through WHO and whatnot, and big pharma, that helped try to suppress what we were going to do, what we were doing there, and yet, and that cost people many, many lives, and yet we were able to save the lives 5 out of 5 of the doctors who were treating Ebola patients. And so it was a pretty interesting thing that we went there. We risked our lives because this Ebola has a 60% death rate.
Okay, so right there, I want to ask you a question, because the way I interpret this, we haven't discussed this before, but let's say if you ask me to do that, I'd say no, thank you, right? It sounds too risky. But what I inferred from this is that you guys were so confident about ozone's potential that if you were to contract the virus, the virus, you would have the solution right there. I mean, that's what I want to think in my cinematic mind. But is that the case, or otherwise you're exposing yourself to a very high risk?
Well, that actually, without consciously thinking about it, we both truly believed it. And it's all biochemistry. But we didn't know. We just didn't know. So we came there well prepared. And we shot each other up every day that we were there, just to be certain that we wouldn't have to worry about it. And in fact, we didn't really go and plan to treat Ebola patients, though we had these suits, that you see in the movies with the respirators built in and everything. So you look like a spaceman. We had everything with us in case we did have to go and treat them. And then one day during the training of the doctors, we started training them, I think was on, we did the lectures Saturday. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we were training doctors. And what happened was a doctor that we trained on Monday, they brought back on Tuesday and said, he isn't feeling so well. Guy was sweating, but there's no, the air conditioning was minimal. So they said, would you mind giving him another shot? Sure, no problem. I didn't realize, it just wasn't occurring to me. This guy probably was coming down with Ebola. And I just shot him up, but because we were getting it, if you get ozone on the day you come in contact with somebody contagious with something, your chances of getting it is 1 in a million. It's not a bulletproof vest. There's no such thing as a bulletproof vest. There are bullets that will go through any bulletproof vest, but it's close to it when it comes to, as a medical bulletproof vest for virus, fungus, yeast, mold, bacteria, parasites, and toxins. It just pretty much destroys everything. And if you do it in a very powerful way, it makes all the difference in the world, which is what we were doing. So yeah, we didn't think about it. We just did it. Though I have to say, my family was very much okay with me going. They didn't seem worried and fearful for me. They told me that afterwards. Robert's family, he got nothing but headaches. Don't go, you can't do this. And they were just all over him not to do it. And yet it was his idea.
Well, that's pretty brave. That's why it was so impressive to me, and such a great dramatic cinematic story that we're going to tell it and it's going to be known, so that's, yeah, I've seen so many incredible healing stories. And for example, I recently came back from a ozone conference in Brazil, like the World Ozone Conference in Brazil, and I was meeting and interacting with all kinds of doctors, veterinarians as well. This is one thing that I'm really into, and I want to also show in the film, because I'm a pet lover, I'm an animal lover, and this is something that needs to be known. You can use ozone in pets with tremendous results. In fact, I have a personal story where my mother, she had a cat at the time, and the cat got in a fight or something, had a little bit of a injury in the ear. And I had just discovered, I think, ozone, or I had my first ozonated oil. And I said, Mom, here, try this, put this on the cat. Now, I didn't tell her my experience with it, so to sort of influence her point of view. But I had at the time my own way of seeing how ozone oil works is literally, to me, it works in real time. Meaning, if you were there and stare at the injury, you would see it heal in real time, because that's how fast it heals. Like literally the next day, a lot of things are resolved. And like, this is mind blowing to me, but I have personal experience with this. So knowing this, I gave it to my mom. The next day, I don't hear back. I don't hear anything. 1 or 2 days. And I asked, Mom, what happened with the cat? Did you use the cream, the oil? And she's like, oh, yes, I meant to tell you. It's crazy. It healed it. In fact, it's almost like it healed it instantly. I could see it heal. Just she stole my line. Somebody who doesn't know anything about this at the time. Now she knows everything about it. I kind of sometimes biohack my family with ozone. Please forgive me, but I'm just a lay person. But you can have an ozone, a little home device and do very basic things with it, right?
Well, and very effectively help people. You might want to make a point of speaking with Margot Roman.
I
She's
have.
Oh, you have? Good. Well, for the audience, we've had her on the show. She's a veterinarian from, I believe, Springfield, Massachusetts, or something like that. And she lost her license over ozone.
Another one.
Never hurt any animals. She loves animals like dearly, like we do. And I have 3 dogs, 2 are rescues, and she loves animals. But boards like to attack doctors who aren't practicing standard of care medicine in their minds. It doesn't matter whether you hurt somebody or not. And that's something you might want to try to focus some part of the film on how medical boards, when they don't know, they don't know. And they're attacking doctors who practice out of their standard of care using this amazing medicine to help people. And I know because I'm helping defend some doctors right now who have their boards attacking them.
Yes.
It's just
I'm interested in that.
The nature of things. I always say the United States has always been the home of the brave, but it has never truly been the land of the free. And we're very restricted here, as in just not only a few other countries come close to how restricted this country is about things. And hopefully this film is going to open up the minds of the boards. So keep that in mind when you're producing all this, that who you're speaking to. You're not just speaking to people who want to do this, but you're speaking to the medical establishment to try to get them to say, open up and go, hey, wait a minute. There's another medicine that's been around literally for a century. Okay.
We are going to do that. We're going to do that. And I plan to do it in the way of the peaceful warrior, so to speak, so that, we stir the pot, but in a gentle way where nobody knows it's being stirred, but it actually inspires. My aim is not to attack, but to inspire, and that's the best attack, because you inspire people to see a different way and to open their eyes. And well, look, it has already happened with the 8-minute trailer that's available for your audience if they want to go check it out. It's on o3movie.com, which is the official website for this project. The trailer is hosted there, where you get to see a little sample of what this movie could be like. We call it a proof of concept when we make these things, because I went out to your partner in crime there, Robert Rowen. I went to see him because he was here in California near me. And I spent 1 day and a half at his clinic filming this trailer. Really, I just interviewed him and I filmed what was available at the time, a few patients. And it was fascinating to see how many moments, beautiful moments and beautiful stories just spring up and occur within hours of being in a place. So what I keep saying to everybody is, imagine what this will be like when I actually set out to make the film, where I go all over the world and I spend time in every clinic, and all these amazing people are on board. It's going to be a feast for the eyes and ears and for the mind and soul.
Hold that thought. We're going to go to our last commercial break. Everybody stay with us. We'll be right back.
To Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for staying with us. Luciano, this is, as with any undertaking like this, not an inexpensive project. Everything in the world costs money. Let's be clear about that. There's no way to play, mince anything around it. Bottom of it all is, I know you've put together a project to help raise funds for it, which I will be contributing to, Dr. Rowen will be, and all Ozone doctors, if they're wise enough, should be contributing to as well. It's in all our best interest. And people can also, please tell us all about that.
Yes, it's important to note, Howard, because usually for a filmmaker, the way to get a film done is to go to the traditional system and his own industry in the film world, and you go there with a trailer like I did, and that's why I did it, and show on paper what you're trying to do and hopefully get the funds. But given the nature and the subject matter here, it's we could be waiting forever for that to happen. So we decided with Dr. Rowen exactly last year at this time, he invited me to the Frontiers Conference to present the trailer and sort of propose the idea that this movie gets financed with private donations and investment so that we get it done soon and we regain control, because when you're not in control, the subject matter can be manipulated or distorted, and this is one story that cannot be subjected to that. So we are then creating a fundraiser campaign, a global fundraiser campaign on the very popular platform called Kickstarter, Kickstarter.com, where a lot of projects of all kinds, not only films, get financed by what's called crowdfunding. So this project is open to regular people who are inspired by this subject, who are inspired by this cause, and also the medical professionals and the industry of ozone itself, who wants it to happen more than anybody, because it will be a great calling card and it will sort of legitimize and put this in front of a lot of global audiences in a very elegant, entertaining, and fascinating way. Remember, we're making a film, so this will go on platforms like Amazon and Pluto and Tubi, all of that. I have guaranteed distribution on these platforms. So regular people will run into this project when they're scrolling through their smart TVs. This is very important. And then the people who know about it can send other people to watch it. And it's a way of bringing the subject matter up a notch and present it in a very glossy, sexy way that in itself, it's already, it gives it a pedigree, and it sort of gives people who are watching it a little bit of confidence in that, well, if they made a movie about this, then it must be something important, right? It's not this new age thing that all this, weird stuff. No, we have very very professional individuals on the film, and doctors and science, and all of it is very elegant. So that's what we're doing. So we need people's contribution. If you're inspired by this, you can donate from $5 to thousands of dollars if you want. And there's rewards. There are rewards for people who donate. It's not just, hey, I guess the biggest reward is that the film comes into existence. So it's almost like having a magic wand, Howard. You just click that button and say, here's my $5. And at the end of that action comes out a film. So that, because in the middle, I'm going to go out and make it. So it's very little effort. And then we'll have, because if everyone does it, it's just that click of the mouse at that $5, $10, $25, whatever you can do. But at the end, there's a movie, and that's it. Because if everyone does it, we can guarantee that we have a movie. So again, the website for the film is o3movie.com. And they're starting on November 7th. This is important. That's when the fundraiser begins, and it's live for 5 weeks. So it's now or never kind of thing. It's now or never, and it's all or nothing. If we don't raise enough funds, we're talking hundreds of thousands, which is actually still cheap for a film. It won't happen. So we have that opportunity. It's now or never. That's why we need to communicate and spread the word that, hey, go there, do it now. Don't think about it. Don't procrastinate. Don't leave it for tomorrow, because the time may elapse and you didn't do it. So we're really grateful for everybody who's already coming on board and sending pre-donations and all kinds of support. It's amazing. So I feel like it's going to happen, and I'm there to make it happen. And I'm fully committed. I mean, I'm going in more than a year now that's solely focusing on this.
So two things. One, what do you think the chances of getting a film like this on Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of those major places, HBO, somebody where the word can really get out? What do you think the chances of getting it on are?
Very likely. Look, it's like this. I can tell you right now, we will be on Amazon Prime. That's guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Okay.
Unless there's some sort of censorship, I'm going to try to avoid, which the way things are presented and what's mentioned, we are on Amazon Prime. However, Netflix is a separate entity and it works differently because there's two ways for a movie to appear on Netflix. One is they produce it. Now, if they do that, they own it, and you're just a passerby that facilitated this and needs to surrender all rights and all intellectual property. I'm not into that, especially with this subject matter. Yeah, there's a sort of prestige about it, but in this case, it doesn't outweigh the other version, which is nobody can take this movie away from us. So there's been instances where Netflix has been threatened to be sued and things like that, and they said, okay, no problem, we'll turn it off, and they delete the movie forever because they own it. So we don't want that to happen. The other way that it still can end up on Netflix is the second way, which is where they see that this film that already exists, they didn't produce it, they didn't finance it, but it already exists, is doing well in the film festivals or is trending on some other platform. They're like, hey, we want to acquire this film for a certain period and test it on our platform. So they come and they license the film for 2 years or whatever, usually 2 years. And then it's on Netflix. So that is still a possibility. And we will definitely try with all my years in the business and knowing that can happen. But we're not going there first because of the other reason. So that's it in a nutshell. And this film will be available no matter what in legitimate platforms.
Okay, so we're coming to the very end of the show now. I told you there was two things. I decided to up my commitment to you. So you put out what the cost, you believe the cost is going to be. And I said how much I was going to give. If I don't have to give it all at once, because I can help during the production, I'll give 1% of that, which I think is what, 4,000 or something like that.
Right.
So I'll up myself to at least 1% of the total production cost to at least help out. And if every other doctor puts in 1%, it won't be so hard to come up with it.
That's right. Well, look, actually, just to note, I'm being approached by potential sponsors, which is beyond donations, people who might have their logo on the credits of the film.
Okay.
Which is very elegant. It's not pay for play. It doesn't mean you're an Ozone machine manufacturer and I'm gonna come film your machine or talk about it in the movie. It's not that. This is journalistic integrity here. Whoever and whatever is on the film is because it best serves the story of Ozone. It's no financial interest whatsoever. But the credits of the film as a corporate sponsors definitely can go there because it's people who need this to happen, and collectively we need it to happen. So it's not about one company or the other. So
I agree. Every company, every single company that makes ozone related products, whether they be machines or Promo Life that makes machines and other supplies, Simply O3, Herman, Zotzman, all the companies, Longevity, they all should be promoting this this film. It's in everybody's best interest. Once we have just a couple of minutes left. Once again, quickly, but slowly and clearly, where do people go to see the trailer and to donate money? One more time.
So it's www.o3, the number, the letter O and the number 3, movie.com. So that is the official website for the project, and is the first sort of point of entry, o3movie.com. And there you will see on November 7th onward the link to go to Kickstarter and submit your donation. So right now the Kickstarter is not live, so you can go look at that, but you can look at the movie, look at the trailer. There's a lot of information there, who's already participating, who's collaborating, all the specialists and industry professionals that are on board and supporting. There's a bio, you can learn about me and watch the trailer, which is the most fun part. So o3movie.com, and remember, from November 7th till December 10th is when this campaign is live to send your donation for this movie to happen. And hope to see you there, and so you can check out the rewards that you're gonna get. There's all kinds, there's t-shirts, stickers, you get the movie. And some people get, everybody gets sort of their name on the credits in a big block of people who support it. So it's exciting.
Listen, Luciano, thank you so much for being on the show. Everybody, if you have any questions about this, I can help. Call my office in Manhattan. They'll put you on to me. 212-581-0101. 212-581-0101, or email me at Ozone Doctor, OZONEDOCTOR, Ozone Doctor, all spelled out, at yahoo.com. Everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, stay well. We'll be back again next week here on Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins. Bye now.